This is the Hartford Online Radio Network. 21st Century Audio. Delivered on thehorn.com.
Good evening, folks. It's Tuesday. It's the Hartford Online Radio Network on thehorn.com, and this is Open for Business, the show that features hands-on business owners, managers, consultants discussing everything and anything that has to do with running a business in the 21st century, and obviously most especially right here in 2012. Our sponsors are Gateway Financial Group, the accounting firm of Budwitz and Meyerjack, Sherpa Technologies, CentralCTDental.com, the home of Doctors Camp, Sam Bohr, and Brian's favorite, Dr. Lupini. You got it. I'm Tommy Russo. This is Ken Cook, and our guest this evening is Dean Kloter, founder of the Business App Company. But before we get to Dean, Ken's going to start us off with a couple quotes.
Well, I have been inspired by the bio that you sent over and by Dean's history, and came across some quotes. I'm going to read about 3 or 4 of them and then put some names to them to give you some gravitas associated with them. Number 1, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Number 2, my great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. Number 3, I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I cannot accept not trying. Number 4, failure is not fatal, but failure to change might be. And finally, number 5, remember that failure is an event, not a person.
All really good, all really thought-provoking.
This is not going to be a downer show. This is about reinvention and reinventing yourself, which is the reason for those quotes. And in order, Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, Michael Jordan, John Wooden, and Zig Ziglar.
Boy, some of my favorite people. And it sounds like, you know, a well-rounded basketball team, too.
5 on 5.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey, Dean, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
So prior to the show, we were talking a little bit about your business, current business, and the fact that you just launched it 4 months ago. But before we talk in depth about that, tell us just a bit about your career up to this point of December 2011, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. I spent my life in the car business. Started with pumping gas when I was 16 years old. Worked up from there. Probably held every position in any type of a garage dealership environment. Became a general manager of a fairly large GM dealership in town. And then in about 2006, went into partnership to purchase the Suzuki franchise. A couple years later, I decided that I would purchase it. So I needed capital, and what I did was I talked to a few people and ended up with a couple partners, and we were off and running. And Suzuki's it's a tough franchise, but it's a great car, and things really went well, despite the economy. And then what I really didn't anticipate happening was I was kind of blindsided with a promise of a partner to be, and I'm not looking to throw anybody under the bus, so to speak, or whatever, but it was a terrible relationship, and it ended up destroying the company and me financially. So at that point, I really I had to do something, and I didn't know what it was going to be.
I know Brian right now is rooting for throwing under the bus. Am I right, Brian?
Oh, let's do it. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's throw that penalty flag out there. Let's get this guy. Come on.
Yeah,
no, we're
sorry,
not
such an old cliche there.
No, it's okay.
It's funny. The pain is still visceral.
Yeah,
I can see it in
how
your
about
expression.
under the Suzuki? How's that?
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's still painful, here we'll give you the brick to throw out.
Incoming again.
This is a tough crowd here. Well, so we're going to kind of fast forward a little bit. obviously you go through this traumatic life experience, and I'm guessing that though the story is a different one, that we have a lot of viewers right now that are relating at a very primal level, that they've also gone through traumatic experiences and needed or might still need to reinvent themselves. Tell us about that portion of it. When you were there at the the end of the path with this particular partnership, what went through your head to begin the reinvention?
Well, at that point, I'm looking, I'm saying, geez, I'm 60 years old.
Damn, you're old.
And it's gone. I mean, everything.
Damn, you're old. Jeez.
Everything I dreamed, everything. It's like saying that you have a terminal illness, So the economy was bad, and I'm thinking, well, I know the car business. Maybe there's still something there.
Mm-hmm.
Tried getting back into it. They say when you send out a resume that there's no discrimination against age, but believe me,
Don't bank on that one.
It's
BS,
there.
right, yeah. Exactly.
Anyways, thought, well, you know what, I like marketing, and I know a lot about the industry. I can maybe help some dealers do something. So I said I'll be a consultant, at least if I can't find a general manager position or something like that. And that landed me maybe 1.5 gigs. So I said, you know what, I've got to do something. The creditors were down my throat, and my phone's ringing off the hook. And I got on the internet. I said, what can I do? I like marketing. Okay, great. What can I do in marketing? And what popped up consistently was, the world is going mobile marketing. This is the new frontier. Everybody is, the smartphone's here. Everybody's on the smartphone. They're living on their phones, and there's got to be something there. And all of a sudden, I had an opportunity to link up with a company that has a great technology that develops and creates and develops apps. And I can take a company from start to finish, and that's what we do now.
So your role was basically to find organizations or companies that are looking, maybe not even knowing they're looking to go mobile, but show them the advantages of doing it.
Absolutely.
And then take them from point A to actually being online mobile.
Right.
Cool.
If you have a website, or if people search for you and your product on the web, then you are definitely a candidate to think about mobile, because people are going to start looking for you. They're going to look for you on their phones. If you type in your URL, your website address on a smartphone today, and it's not mobile friendly, it is impossible to read.
What does mobile friendly mean?
Meaning that if you type it in and you look at it, and you don't have to make any real adjustments to read it and to navigate through it, then that's pretty much a mobile site will allow you to do that.
Okay. And is that an app?
No, there are this whole trend is going from a mobile and then to an app. Okay.
All right, but for the uninitiated, define an app, please.
Okay. An app is a separate application that it's closed. It is something that is developed. You have your own icon. You have your own hosting. It's like a miniature website.
Okay.
And it's totally viewable, accessible with a mobile device or tablet.
Ken, let me ask you, with your iPhone, have you ever had the experience that Dean did a good job just a moment ago of describing, of going on someone's website via your iPhone and recognizing that it was virtually unmanageable? You would have to... Well, that's exactly what Dean is referring to.
Yeah.
The first step in that process, and you can explain it a lot better than I can, is to condense it to make it more of a mobile application. And mobile meaning either indeed an iPhone and or a tablet.
Yeah, I can't tell you the number of times I've tried to open a site. It gives me a headline or it gives me the banner, and it says, would you like to download any more of this, or complete the download? And I always, never mind, it's not worth it.
That's just what Dean's talking about.
Yeah. In the 90s, everyone wanted a website,
Yeah.
and now everyone is going to be wanting a mobile site. In fact, the experts are saying, look, if you're going to design a website now, do it mobile first. In other words, put it in that format first. And because that's where we're headed.
How Dean and I became acquainted was in the process of updating L&R's website. A number of things that we wanted to do with the site, we were guided by your friend and mine, Jeffrey Cohen from ImageWorks. All of us know Jeffrey. And he kept saying, that's not going to be mobile friendly. That's not going to be mobile friendly. And more people are now going on their iPhones and Droids, etc., and searching for you along with tablets. And you want to make sure that what they find there is similar to the experience if they're sitting at their desktop or a laptop. And up to that point, truth be told, though I had had a couple of experiences, I had never thought about it to that extent. And that's what motivated us at some point to, officially knock on Dean's door and say, hey, we're ready as well.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Dean, being the capitalist that I am, doing an app just for visibility purposes seems like half of the pie to me. If you can't generate commerce with it in some way, shape, or form, why do it? Am I right in that regard?
No, not. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but an app
You can say I'm wrong if I'm.
An app is informational.
Okay.
But it also has the ability for m-commerce, which is mobile commerce, say it's like e-commerce. And the other interaction is that if you own an app, you now have the ability to start an interaction with your customers through push notifications. So let's say I'm a restaurant and I'm going to have some specials coming up this Friday night. Friday morning I can get on my app and I can say, hey, tonight come on in for 2 for 1 or free drinks or whatever. And as soon as I push that notification, everyone that has the app gets the instant message right on the face of their phone, like a text message would pop up. And so now I can communicate with those people, whereas if I had a website, I could not. They would have to come to my website in order to get my message. So it's going to be almost like a center hub for all of the interactions, e-commerce, shopping carts, setting appointments, doctor's appointments, any appointments with people, reservations, and whatever your imagination can come up with, we can get these apps to do.
So, Dean, can I ask you, that is a very good idea, and I agree with the idea that, you know what, we're moving in this direction. You should probably get some exposure out there, even if it's just for the marketing aspect of it. But I think that's kind of that's to me what websites do now. They're essentially almost free yellow page ads. Just be on the internet so someone can find you, and that's enough. But my concern is when we go into the closed arena of applications, I don't want to be the person that is cluttering up someone's phone with yet another application.
There you go.
Is there maybe what we need is maybe an application of just storage of all these microsites out there. I mean, I don't really know if every business needs its own unique app, and why would anyone have all of those applications on their phone? That's kind of what the internet is for. That's what a browser is for.
Yeah, not every business needs an app. But if you're a businessman and you have customers, and those customers are dealing with you on a regular basis, if they have your app, now they have one-touch contact. They can make their appointments. I've got a few dealerships out there now that now right from your phone you can just go ahead and make a service appointment. You can talk to your salesperson, whatever it is. It's just a very quick way of getting into contact with the business owner, and it's a very convenient. It's a convenience for the customer.
All right, let me go back to the push notification example you gave earlier. I sign up for an app at car dealership. I bought a car there. I sign up. I get their app on my phone so I can schedule my service appointment, etc. That car dealership is running specials, and they do a push notification on whatever those specials might be. Do I have the opportunity to unsubscribe?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
So I can
just
stop.
delete the app.
No, other than not deleting the app, because I want to move into the dealership, but I don't want the dealership to reach out to me every time they have an idea that they think I might like to hear.
Okay.
So how would they unsubscribe based on the scenario that Ken just described?
First of all, as soon as you download an app, the first thing they do is ask you if for permission to do this.
All right, so there is permission marketing.
Absolutely.
All right.
So if you say yes, okay. Now, if you start to get notifications on your phone, you have in your settings the ability to turn on and off those notifications from all of the different apps that you have. You wouldn't just pick whichever ones you want. So that can be turned on and off. But the whole idea, if you're in business and you have good customers and you're doing business properly and your customers love you, then why not have them be in their pocket where you can work with them and do business with them on a regular basis? Be it your doctor, your attorney.
It makes a lot of sense to me. It really does. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why L&R crossed the threshold. And we're not going to be sending out, TV production specials on a regular basis. Our primary motivation, twofold. We want to be ahead of the curve because I believe exactly, even before speaking with Dean, that this is where everything is going. Less people are spending time in front of their laptops and their desktops. More people are traveling with tablets and smartphones. And then I want it to be convenient to all my clients. As most of you know, our clients are literally countrywide. Yep. And I don't want them to have to think twice if they need to reach out. If they have our app, they can hit, it's push contact, and they'll have my number, cell phone, office number, or email address in one simple fell swoop.
Now, is your app just to make L&R Productions' website mobile friendly, or is there going to be functionality beyond that?
There is functionality beyond that. And this guy, even though it's my company, he'll do a better job of describing what that functionality is.
Please do.
Okay. This is an evolution of people having websites. Like you said, Brian, everybody has a website, but those websites are not all mobile friendly. And the more people that have smartphones and the faster these phones get, people are going to be looking for your website on their phone, and it needs to be mobile. Now, so you can stop there. You can have a mobile website, done. If you go to the next level, so to speak, you now have an app where you have an icon on your phone, and you would pick and choose the people that you're going to do business with. So you may have your favorite restaurant on there. You may have your attorney, your people like yourself, whoever you do business with that you're going to be doing business with. And the best way to contact them, if you can just hit two buttons and you're in contact, that makes my life easier if I am a user.
All right. Well, two industries that Tommy focuses on nationally: plumbers and minor league baseball.
Right.
Other than being able to contact Tom or Paul, why would the Wichita Mud Hens need a mobile app for L&R Productions? I mean, what's the functionality you're going to give to the general manager of the Wichita Mud Hens?
You're going to be able to sample
what?
Our jingles, our TV commercials, our video production. The blog is going to be up there. They're going to be able to see the content that we put out in the blog. So we're going to have the opportunity in a very simple and streamlined way to communicate to them if they're open to that communication, and be as accessible can be, so that they're not strapped to the desktop, to the laptop, no matter where they are in their travels. I mean, you mentioned minor league baseball. I cannot tell you how many times I've reached out to a general manager. Oh, he or she is out in the stadium, and they'll be back in 15, 20 minutes, or they're out for the game. If there's a reason for them to reach to us, which on occasion there is while they're in the stadium, that two-push approach that Dean just did a good job again of articulating is another reason. So goes back to me, at least in part, accessibility and convenience.
Okay.
And to expound on the Wichita Mud Hens, if they're doing a jingle for them, he'll throw it on the app, and this general manager, whatever, would just hop on the app and listen to it, and he doesn't have to worry about going to his computer or anything like that. So it's just another venue where we have to get used to it. It's something that technology is driving this, not me, and it's going to happen whether we like it or not. Well, and it'll evolve, and the customers will be the ones that say, yes, I want that, or no, I don't.
Well, Tommy disparagingly called you and I old earlier in the program.
Oh, I didn't get
it's nice to have someone in, sorry, Dean, but it's nice to have someone in the studio that's older than me, so it doesn't happen often.
I feel like I'm 30.
Be quiet, Brian.
Are you finding generational differences as far as clients accepting this as a viable solution for what they're doing, or even to the extent of the consumer?
No, it's more on a technical level.
That's it.
This is something that, I mean, early adopters will take this and say, they'll get it right away. This I understand. This is great. And other ones will say, I have, deer in the headlights. And it does not have anything to do with age. I've approached some very young people in their 20s, thinking this person's going to just love this, and they just go, I don't get it. And those are people you don't want to deal with now, but you will deal with them later on once they do get it, because everybody will fall into this. This information will sink in, and they'll start. Oh yeah, that makes sense now.
I want to remind folks that we have Dean Kloter with us, who is the founder of the Business App Company here out of Connecticut. And if you're not following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, then you should start in this very moment in time. So here's a question for you, Dean. The maturity of this industry. You said, I forget the phrase that you just used, but people coming on early on in the process. In the bell curve of this industry that you're in, where are we? At what point in that curve?
It depends on who you talk to in some cases, because there's people out there that are just so far ahead of me, in this type of thing. They may say, well, we're already halfway up the bell curve. I would say we are definitely in the beginning, like of any product curve. We're probably in the beginning, maybe 18 to 20%, and you're going to get a certain number of people that are going to do that. What's going to make this thing hit the tipping point is if half the population right now owns a smartphone, in another 2 years, when that's all that's available, that we end up having 75% and 80%. And once we hit that saturation point, that's when you know that everyone is going to be using their phones, and that's when everything is going to have to be mobile, whether it's advertising, marketing, your business. I just think this is a great opportunity for a small business owner who has to spend money that he doesn't have on traditional advertising, newspaper, and everything else. He can. This is going to be a transition. This is where people are going to spend their marketing money on mobile and app development, and being able to talk to their customers, send their message, their product through their phone, the most personal device that a person owns.
All right. My curiosity is piqued, and I'm sure many of our listeners are as well. Give me a price point, price range. What's it take? How much do you have to sink in getting an app up?
Okay, this is the great thing with technology, the way it's been developed. The technology that I use is extremely affordable. We are looking at under $1,000, maybe even well under $1,000, depending on the situation. There is a monthly charge for hosting, but when these companies have spent $50, $100, $200,000 building an app, now this technology has come in such a way to now I can do it for the little guy, and that's the exciting thing.
That's great. Again, folks, I want to remind you that Dean Kloter is our guest this evening, founder of the Business App Company. Before we take a short break, I want to read a commercial from one of our sponsors, CentralCTDental.com, the homes of Dr. Camp, Sambor, and Lupini. If it's a serious issue or just simply a routine checkup, there is nowhere else to go. They're easy to get to on the Plainville-Farmington line, or you can call them at 860-747-5761 and make an appointment online. That's CentralCTDental.com. We'll be right back with you. You're tuning in to Open for Business.
Budwitz & Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut. Large enough to handle engagements of enterprises with annual revenues in excess of $100 million, yet small enough to cater to smaller businesses and individual clients who expect personalized attention from partners and staff. Client service is the cornerstone of our practice. Our clients have a fixed fee for their audit and tax work. What this means to the client is we're approachable. Personal communication and client services make for strong relationships. Budwitz & Meyerjack, certified public accountants.
And on the Horn, we guarantee 60 minutes every hour. Or your money back. OnTheHorn.com.
Sandits Travel for business and leisure. We'll take you there. Sandits Travel has been proudly serving Connecticut since 1960. That's over 50 years. And we're ready for another 50 years of superior service. Whether you prefer to come in, call in, or log on, we invite you to explore how efficient, diverse, and fun it is to book through Sandits Travel. Save your money and your time with us. Sandits Travel. We'll take you there.
Fully operational. Fully engaged. On the Horn. Hartford. OnTheHorn.com.
You got a new promo there, Brian. It sounds really good. Welcome back, folks. It's Open for Business. Ken Cook, Tommy Russo, and our guest this evening, Dean Kloter, founder of the Business App Company. Before we get back to Dean in a most interesting conversation, I want to read one more commercial from another one of our illustrious sponsors, and that is Deepwater.
Deepwater.
Seafood of Avon. Just for the halibut. Oh, God help me. Anyway, Farmington Valley's freshest seafood is found at Deepwater. They will work with you in your schedule. Call ahead, 860-676-9657, or you can fax them at the same area code, 677-2281. Deepwater will set aside your order for pickup after work. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Their menu items, Brian said to skip this, but I can't do it, Brian. It's sea scallops, it's fresh oysters, it's fish and chips, it's soup, it's biscuits, chowders, and if you're having a party, catch this, Brian, paella for 12 and a salad. And it's all you need. It's made with spicy chicken, sausage, scallops, shrimps, and halibut. It's Deepwater.
Deepwater.
Seafood of Avon, just for the halibut. Oh, God.
We got to hire you. You do that very well.
Lordy.
Sorry, Dean. All right, you're not going to hire us to do anything after that. So, Ken, you had a point that you wanted to kind of pick up with on Dean?
One of the things that I'm starting to get some insight into is that this is a very personalized touch point that a company can have with their clients. So that, to me, is the marketing interpretation that you alluded to at the beginning of the conversation. Am I correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Tell me more about that personalization. Can I have an app that does one thing with Tommy and a different thing with Brian? Or is the app homogeneous across the board? Or can I segregate who I send messages to? I mean, how much flexibility do I have with it?
Well, I mean, the app is within the scope of the company itself.
Okay.
Your conversations with them would be, of course, through email. So, yes, everyone would have a different email address.
Is it customization you're looking for? So if someone wanted to, if you had a car dealership, for instance, I only want to look at SUVs. So anything on your app that doesn't have anything to do with SUVs, get rid of it. That's all I want to look at is SUVs. You could customize it that way, I imagine.
Okay. Just like on a website, you have a navigation bar.
Okay.
Okay. There are icons on the app, and there would be an icon for new cars, used cars, SUVs. So basically, all of the features, which would consist of anywhere from 10 to 15 of these little icons, yes, you pick and choose the ones that you want to address or use at the time.
Okay, and let me get more personalized on the marketing side. You've got a universe of customers who have opted in to receive notifications.
Okay.
In that universe, 10% of them want to look at SUVs, 40% want to look at sedans. As someone who is pushing out a special on SUVs for this month, can I send a distribution list of only that 10%?
At this point, all distributions are global. In other words, everybody gets it. but we're working on ways to isolate that. It's technology that is coming.
Good.
And one of the restrictions, or one of the things that kind of keeps this process from flowing really quickly, is that these apps are all hybrid. So they are constructed and built to go across more than one platform.
I got you. Hybrid
So
in that iPhone,
Droid, BlackBerry, they all have different platforms, and so we try to get everything that can work on all of the platforms, and there's some restriction there as to what can happen.
Okay.
But that technology is constantly being worked on.
And Dean, because we recently were going through this, if you wouldn't mind, explain a little bit even about the difference between setting up the app so it will read well on a smartphone, but at the same time segue nicely onto a tablet.
Correct. That all comes when you're designing the graphics. The real estate on a smartphone is, I don't want to get too technical, but it's 640 by 960 pixels. That's the size of it. An iPhone is 1345 by 960, something like that. So your graphics are designed and then uploaded to those specific numbers.
All right, so something that just triggered for me. And the old adage, sorry guys, can't teach an old dog new tricks.
He finally admits his age.
How tech savvy was Dean Kloter before he jumped into this? Because it seems like you've embraced this technology rather well. So I'm curious, was this something that was a honeymoon passion of yours for a long, long time, and so this was part of the natural segue? Or did you just take that steep ramp up when you jumped into this industry to learn all that clearly you already know?
I always felt that it was my responsibility to learn computers, what they can do, all through the car business. Of course, everything's computerized. So that's really just kind of taught myself, took courses, took classes. When this came along, then I really had to ramp it up, and I had to get out there and learn how to do Photoshop and all the different drawing programs. But it's the way they're designed. It just it's intuitive.
What I love about what Dean brings to this party, though, that I think is better than the technology, is the marketing expertise behind it. Because the technology, to me, has always been great. But it's like engineers designing things for customers. It doesn't quite fit. You need a marketing mind. You need somebody who is customer savvy to be able to take an app and adopt it to someone so they get advantage out of it. I mean, I would never have thought L&R would need an app. But I'm convinced now that it makes sense.
That's great.
Yeah. If you're in business, you're selling something. You're marketing something.
Yeah.
And you've got to realize that the future is on a small screen, and whatever it is that you have to market, now you have to say, okay, what's the best way that I can get my message to these people in the nicest, fastest, most convenient way? And then you put it on this app, and it's like I mentioned before, the app is your next Rolodex.
Yeah.
I think there's something equally fundamental that you bring to the table, Dean, and that is, and I'm convinced that lots and lots of people that are tuning into us this evening and have been consistently have to be internalizing in this moment, and that is, wow, this guy really, really retooled himself.
Oh, yeah.
And he found the courage and this, strength of conviction and the energy and all of the other discipline, all the other ingredients to go into saying, something this last set of years in the career, it's not working for me anymore. I need to get back to basics and ramp up. And I mean, I truly applaud you for that. And I hope the boys and girls out there are listening.
Yeah.
Well, motivation.
Necessity being the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Well, you acknowledge that you had some people knocking on your door that you weren't looking forward to letting in.
Well, not.
But the insight that I love is that you took the time to inventory yourself and where your passions were. And your passion was in the marketing world.
Yeah.
You knew that's what you loved to do. And then you searched out, how can I use what I'm passionate about in order to keep the wolves from the door.
Yeah, that's
I thought that's very cool.
good. Thank
So
you.
I want to take a quick poll.
Yeah.
You suggested that we were 15 to 20% in the maturation level of this industry. What's your stab at it, Ken?
I think in terms of usage, anybody that has a smartphone has apps that they use, so people intuitively understand what an app is. So I think usage is 100%. I think application of them, pardon the pun for apps, but application of apps is probably, as Dean said, somewhere in the 20% range, because there's not a lot of companies out there that have them.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you figure half the population has a smartphone, and that's across all ages, so we can only work with 50% to begin with, if we can even understand this.
Yeah.
And then now, once that happens, people that I talk to, I just got an iPhone last week, or I just got an Android. I have no idea how to use it. But you have one of these things for a month or 2 months. Next thing you know, this thing is becoming an intimate part of your life.
Daily.
And you start using it, and you start realizing the power it has and what you can do with it. You say, hey, this is pretty cool. Well, at some point, it's going to dawn on everybody that if you're a businessman and you want to, get involved with your customers, this is a fabulous way to do it.
My wife got an iPhone, new adopter to it 2 years ago. Within a month, she had 6 pages of apps. Within a month.
Right.
I mean, she saw something, she liked it, she got the app.
There you go.
And she uses probably 75% of them.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Brian, what do you think? I want to get your feedback, because you do represent a different generation.
Thank you, Thomas.
Older than us.
So I guess here's my question. If you want to look up, if you're sitting at your desk and you want to find out what the score of the Yankees game is, do you go onto your browser and type in, MLB.com, or do you reach for your cell phone and pull up an application?
Cell phone.
That's the question.
Yeah, cell phone.
So then I think that we're probably at a pretty good rate of saturation. I probably still am going to go to my browser if it's near me. Obviously, if I'm like in a restaurant or something. But beyond that, I don't think I don't think I'm going to pull up my phone to get that kind of info. But when we reach that point, when you're looking for the baseball score on your phone as opposed to in a browser on your computer, then I think we're great.
A smartphone without an app is just an empty shell. It's a telephone. And
Yeah,
it doesn't. Yeah, it's all.
The applications are the additional things. I mean, the smartphone is really so you can get your email and you can get your voicemails and you can browse the internet. The application was this whole other item here. But the other interesting thing is the idea of, we have open versus closed as far as like a browser versus an application to get online content. And then we have folks like the Android market, which is all open source stuff, and you write an app, push it out there, off you go, as opposed to the Apple folks, the iPhones, you write your app, then you submit it to Apple, and hopefully they bless you with getting it, in their store. That's a whole other side of the industry. Do we think, that would stand to reason that folks would just say, if you're an application maker, screw it, I'm not dealing with Apple. Who the heck are they? There's plenty of Android users out there. I'm not going to spend my time. I want to know my applications out there. Let me go that. Let me go with Android. Or do you say the folks like the iPhone and the iPad, they're such closed systems. They're so tight that, they're so desirable because of that, because of hacking and worms and all that kind of stuff that don't get in there. That's gonna be the platform really of the future. So I'm gonna continue to make applications for that. I don't know.
What do you think, Dean? Do you go half of the audience with the Android, or do you bite the bullet and submit to Apple?
Oh, I have never done one without Apple. Yeah. And it's tough. It takes longer.
Mhm.
It takes a little more time, and you got to again. They do scrutinize everyone. I have had them rejected, but we get them squared away. And yes, with Android, you put it up there, and it's off and running. But
Which is interesting, because that's the whole point of the open. You throw a website up there. There's no one there that needs to approve it.
No.
It's like, if you think of the internet, it's like Apple has its own internet. Its own www dot.
Clearly, though,
You know what I'm saying?
it's worked for them.
yes, clearly.
I mean, it has. You can argue till we're all blue in the face, but when you look at what the stocks are worth in this particular moment in time, and the market penetration, Mr. Jobs, God rest his soul, had a vision, stayed true to it, and it's been pretty successful. It can aggravate the hell out of all of us, and it has in many cases done just that. But Steve,
Sure.
he stayed true to the vision.
All right, but think about apps for a minute, though. Apps are not defined, their effectiveness is not defined by the company who's building the app. It's defined by the people who use it on their phones.
Amen.
So, as a result, and this it comes back to an economic question as well, Dean. If I'm electing to build an app for peer-to-peer advisors, in all likelihood, it has to be free.
Yep. Yes. Absolutely.
So, what's the economic justification for a business owner that you work through with them in order to help them understand the value of the app?
Great question.
It's the same premise as a website. You have a website to produce income, some ROI for your company.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have the same thing, only you have a little more control over it, because now it's more interactive, it's more personal. It's very easy to add information to it, and it can really end up being the hub with your website, and everything else that you do, all your other advertising is on the peripheral of that.
As an industry, is there any empirical data that they've developed that will show a company who promotes the fact that they have an app or that they are mobile friendly, it can increase their consumer base? Is there any data that supports that conclusion?
Yes, and that data is being gathered every day.
Okay.
You've heard of QR codes?
No.
A QR code is that square, squiggly barcode.
Oh,
it's
all
a
right.
two-dimensional barcode.
Yeah.
These are electronic loyalty programs.
Okay.
So, for example, if I'm a coffee shop owner and I have, or actually a dealer that has, if you come in and get your oil changed 5 times, the 6th one's free. Well, I set that all up on QR codes where they come in and they take their iPhone and they take in their app and they take a quick snapshot of the QR code, and it ratchets down. And I do this 4 times or 5 times, and my next oil change is free. It's all redeemed, all tracked, all recorded.
I got one for you. Local coffee house. You got me thinking now.
Yeah, same,
all right. So
thing.
the local coffee house
Instead of
is
the punch
there,
card.
and I'm driving down. It's 6:15 in the morning. My eyes are barely open.
Right.
Yet I do take my iPhone sitting at the red light. I hit the app. I'll be there in 3 minutes. You have my cappuccino ready to go, and I'm walking out the door.
And they've already charged your account.
Precisely.
That's right.
No, that's a really good idea, but that's one of those things that, Starbucks is going to make its own application for that.
Oh, yeah.
But how many thousands, tens of thousands, smaller coffee shops are out there that would love to have that kind of application? The business idea there would be build a basic app that then each one of these coffee houses can purchase for their own company and customize with their logo for their customers, and then have Dean go ahead and
Are you
build that
taking
one
notes
for
on
you.
this, Dean?
Sure.
Coffee
This is a niche market, man.
Dry cleaners.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I'm
have a
looking
dry
at
cleaner with an app.
Do you really?
Yeah.
How do they use it?
They use it for pickup and delivery.
But
yeah.
I love Brian's
and
thought.
what we're moving into now is invoicing, so that, hey, I'm out of town, and by the time I get there, you might be closed. I'm going to pay for it through the app.
I love that.
So,
I really love that.
in fact,
that's cool.
About a week after it was launched, I received an email from one of the managers at the cleaners, and he said that I just got a new account in Canton, And what happened was a young couple moved up from Darien area, and they needed a dry cleaner. And for some reason or other, they went on and they Googled and they found this app, and they downloaded it, and boom.
Boy, is that instantaneous return on investment can cook, right?
Absolutely.
I love it.
It happens. But, just quickly getting back to where we thought we were on this bell curve, what I'm referring to is the industry as a whole, okay, as to where mobile marketing is going. I mean, mobile marketing is the fastest growing industry ever.
I believe that.
And we are not even close to knowing what's going to happen and where we're going with it. So that's why when I say we're at 20 or 30%, we're just in the beginning stage.
Can we have Dean back?
We can have
I
Dean
want to
back.
keep doing
yes.
this.
And let's let's do more stuff. I want him to talk about Instagram and how to make billions with stuff. Instagram, a company of 13 guys, just was purchased. It was a year and a half old. Purchased by Facebook, $1 billion, zero revenue from Instagram. They didn't have any revenue.
What am I doing wrong?
Here's the invitation to everybody out there. Send in your thoughts on apps. We're going to have Dean back at some point, and we're going to explore all the ideas.
And by the way, if you do make billions, Dean, we do want a piece of the action. It's that simple.
Tommy's a capitalist, too.
As soon as I pay everybody off, you got it.
There you go. Folks, thank you. What a great show. Dean, you were a wonderful guest. Really insightful. Absolutely. Dean Kloter from the Business App Company. You've been tuning in to Open for Business. We will see you next week. Brian, thank you. Ken, thank you. And again, Dean, thank you very much.
Check out the website.
Okay.
Cheers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.